Hi folks, the Filipina P here. And today I'm going to tell you how to catch a Filipina. Now most of you already think that's as easy as shooting fish in a bathtub with a bazooka. And anybody who needs advice on this subject probably needs help tying their own shoes. But I'm not just going to tell you how to land a Filipina. I'm going to show you how to land a good Filipina. The problem is, good is a subjective term. And there's a bunch of guys out there with a lot of different definitions of what's best for them. But I've got some advice you don't often hear. A different way of thinking that might just get you the woman you've been looking for. Before I start, I want to address something I've heard in the comment section, which is the criticism that you shouldn't listen to a woman's advice when it comes to other women. The old thing about when you're trying to catch a fish, ask a fisherman. That sounds profoundly wise, but the analogy quickly falls apart, and here's why. Fish can't talk. If they could, I'm sure they could tell you exactly where the other fish hang out and what kind of bait they like. So just think of me as the fish that talks. Your next question might be, does the fish know what she's talking about? Well, those of you who watch my videos know that I'm more logical and rational than the average woman. I think that's why my content resonates with a lot of you folks. And yes, I'm a woman that can help you with Filipinas. Just reverse the situation. As a man, don't you think you could give good advice to women about how to catch a guy? Of course you could. You'd have better tips than a woman would, especially when it comes to what men are looking for. How many times have I heard men say that women don't have a clue what a guy wants as they show off their tattoos and tell you how they're the boss of their department at work? No way! If you want to catch a man, ask a man. And for the same exact reason, if you want to catch a Filipina, ask a Filipina P. But hey, the proof is in the pudding. The foreigners who actually live here, who are the people who actually know, say that my advice is usually spot on, especially when it's about other women. In other words, don't let my genitalia fool ya. Now, onto the subject at hand. In a country with so many available women, how do you pick the one that's right for you? Well, the trouble is, you guys often approach the problem backwards. You become attached to a woman before even stepping foot in the Philippines, usually someone you met on a dating site. Now, I don't blame you for wanting to get a head start on a relationship, especially when those sites are slammed full of women just begging to say hello. But when you go about it like that, you're flying blind. I mean, what does a dating profile actually tell you? I'm sorry, but it tells you next to nothing. Maybe, if she's being honest, it'll tell you her name, age, and location. But so what? Do you really know where Zamboanga is? You could find it on a map, but it won't mean anything to you unless you've spent a lot of time here. You have no clue what tribe she's from, what language she speaks, what her particular culture's like, or even if it's safe for you to go there. You can ask her all about these things or try to research it, but you're not going to get a clear picture of the situation until you get here. A lot of you watching this video might think Filipinas are more or less interchangeable. We're all from the Philippines, right? So just how different could we be? The answer is a lot different. A girl who lives on a cattle farm in Kansas is not the same as a fashion designer from New York. Just like a woman living in a shack in Mambusaw is not the same as a woman from Manila. But until you learn about the Philippines, all you're looking at is a pretty face on a screen. Some of you might think you can just pluck a woman out of her village and away from her family, like picking a puppy from the pound and whisk her off into the sunset, because in your Western way of thinking, it's just you and her, right? Well, it usually doesn't work that way here. A woman's family situation can be just as important as the chemistry between you and your mate. I know you've heard when you marry a Filipina, you marry her family, but the impact of that very true statement can't be emphasized enough. Sure, some Filipinas and their families aren't attached at the hip, but most of us are, and it's something you're gonna have to deal with. one way or another. So, do you really want to get involved with a woman whose family you can't stand, even though they might be a very real part of your life? That's not something you can gauge until you spend physical time with them. Not a 10-minute video chat with her mom, who just smiles and waves at you because she only speaks a little broken English. The sad fact is, in order to find out the stuff you really need to know, like what kind of person your Filipina is, what she's really looking for, how many kids she actually has, and everything about her relationship with her family, which is muy importante, it's gonna take many months of constant communications. But ironically, that's where the trouble starts. Because as you try to learn about this person, even if she's not the best match for you, you're also building a relationship, whether you intend to or not. So what's wrong with that? Well, what happens is, and I've seen this a million times, is that you end up getting laser focused on a woman who was never quite right for you to begin with. But the more you talk to her and invest time online, the more you get tunnel vision and overlook important stuff that comes back to bite you later on. That's an easy trap to fall into when all you know about this woman is based on your online interactions. And before you realize it, you're making plans for a future together, and you're developing genuine feelings that you don't want to give up, even when you see a few red flags here and there. Suddenly, you find yourself making compromises and putting up with stuff you wouldn't normally tolerate, like her ghosting you for a weekend, or finding out she wasn't exactly where she said she was. But because you're hooked on her, you're convinced yourself to accept a situation that's not ideal for you. And sometimes, it's a situation that's pure poison. I talk to guys every day, you know who you are, that have invested so much time and emotion into a woman they've never met, only to find out she's got 4 kids from 3 different guys, and she's been spending all the money you gave her on her family instead of going to school like she said she was gonna do. And you know what your reaction often is when you find out about all the deception? You make excuses for her. Some of you guys simply can't look reality in the face, cut your losses, and run. And it's because you've become emotionally attached. And no matter what anyone shows you, no matter what proof you have, you just can't let her go. You get taken to the cleaners, both your wallet and your heart. And then you wonder why you can't find a good Filipina and go around saying, there are no good Filipinas. But when you're choosing your mate from a lineup of anonymous dating profiles, you're buying a pig in a poke, and more often than not, you end up getting poked by the pig. Surprise, surprise. We've all seen those catfish shows where some poor old grandma is convinced that the love of her life, who she's never met, is stuck in some foreign jail after being detained at the border on some trumped-up charges. And she thinks the only way to rescue him is to send another $50,000 on top of the $100,000 she already sent for his hospital bills after that horrible motorcycle accident. Her son and her daughter is usually up on the stage with her, begging grandma not to send the last few dollars of her retirement fund to a con artist. Now, every single person in the audience, the people outside looking in, can see what's going on. It's painfully obvious that grandma's being manipulated and lied to. And most of the viewers can't believe that anyone could fall for it. But for some reason, grandma can't see it for herself. The truth is, she doesn't want to see it, because then her fantasy house of cards comes tumbling down. But those same people who watch those shows and shake their heads at the poor sucker on stage are often the same ones that contact me, asking what they should do when they end up in the exact same spot with a Filipina they met on a dating site. I get so frustrated, I want to reach through the phone and grab you by your short hairs. But even when I remind you what has to be done, you just won't do it. And the parade of excuses begins. When I ask you if this is really the kind of relationship you want, you agree it's not. But you still try to fix it. Just keep jamming the square peg into the round hole instead of walking away. And it's because you invested too much emotion. Now, I'm certainly not saying that every woman you meet online is a scammer or that the relationship won't work, but why even start down that road? Sure, you could get lucky and meet Miss Right. Some guys do. But there's a good chance that in the end, even if she's a good woman, the puzzle pieces don't quite fit. At least not without forcing them to. And it's all because you're doing things backwards. Instead of getting locked down right away and ending up someplace you don't even like because that's where she is, flip the script. Start by visualizing your perfect life. Are you on a farm up in the mountains, growing your own food? Do you live in a gated community in the city, close to shopping and dining, like a little piece of suburbia from back home? Are you on a beach where the only things that matter to you are a hammock and a fishing pole? Or maybe you want a small apartment in the big city, close to nightlife. Maybe you're a digital nomad who wants to keep his roots shallow and move around from place to place, even going out of the country every couple months. Whatever that dream is, figure out your lifestyle first, then choose a location that fits it. To do that, you'll probably need to look around for a while, sampling the different islands and cultures here, because the Philippines is not all the same. Once you find a place where you can live your best life, then start looking for a woman who complements it. Now that you're here, your options will triple compared to what you had to choose from in the shark-infested waters of the dating sites. And you'll be able to see who's real. You can meet her friends, her co-workers, and yes, her family. You'll get a much better idea of who a woman is and whether or not she's worth pursuing. Want a simple provincial woman? They'll be all around you, and they probably won't be veterans of the dating sites who've already been in countless online relationships with other foreigners. Want a woman with her own income? Maybe you're on a tight budget, or maybe you just prefer a hardworking partner. Well, those women are all around you too. Just pop into the local shops and have a look around. Your perfect mate could be standing right behind the counter, and you'll have instant proof that she really does have a job. Need intellectual stimulation? If it's a bookworm that gets you motor running, you'll find plenty of coffee shops and cafes surrounding every university. It's easy to strike up a conversation with a Filipina, and we generally won't be rude or give you the brush off when you say hello. If you're on a quest to find a religious woman, that's no problem. Attend a church service. Just walk right in and we're happy to have you. And I guarantee you'll make so many contacts with so many new people, you'll need to upgrade your phone's memory just to store them all. Or maybe you're looking for an outgoing type, someone to accompany you on your many upcoming adventures. In that case, visit the local attractions like waterfalls and caves and diving spots. You'll bump into lots of women who enjoy the same thing, who would love to find a man to share the experience with. Same thing with a hobby. Maybe you're a shutterbug with a passion for taking pictures of beautiful Filipinas. Sign up for a class in photography, and before you know it, you'll meet your muse. The point is, if you immerse yourself in life here, there's simply no way you won't find a woman that complements what you're looking for. And compared to that strategy of finding someone online in advance, it has so many advantages. After all, would you rather eat from a buffet with a limited number of picked over selections and quite a few rotten apples mixed in, or go where the food is fresh from the market? It's as simple as that. Now, once again, I know that plenty of people are deliriously happy with the woman they met online. I hear from you all the time. But just as often, I hear from guys who regret ever saying something stupid like I love you to someone they never met. If you're still determined to use the dating sites, don't even start until about a week before you get here. That way, you won't already be tied down, and you'll have a chance to travel around the country to see the many different facets of the Philippines before deciding where you might want to settle. Don't be in such a rush to fill a hole in your life with a woman whose situation requires you to cut corners, take chances, and make compromises. You are the captain of your own ship, and there's no reason to drop anchor before you're ready. Don't try to fit your life into hers. Choose a woman who can fit her life into yours, and then you can grow together. Well, that's it for today's episode. I hope you liked it, and I'll be back on Tuesday with a visit from an old friend. Till then, folks. Give me a P, give me an E, give me an A. What do you got? What you got is the best source of information about life in the Philippines. I can give you the inside scoop about everything you need to know, then cheer you on as you start your overseas adventure. All I ask in return is that you subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and consider becoming a patron to receive extra content and exclusive videos. And while you're waiting for the game to resume, why not check out the halftime show? I wish I had bigger pom-poms.